Hi class, good afternoon. My name is Olivia Todd, and today I'll be doing my case conceptualization presentation over the movie Love, Simon. Love, Simon hit the box office in 2018, so a little old, a little new. The movie, its main character is Simon Spear. He's a high school senior. He has a very nuclear family with a steady home life. Says his mom is super liberal. There's scenes that show her going to protest and march and things like that. Says his dad's a scruffy football kind of guy. I think he's a Georgia football alum. He always has Georgia hats on. And he has a little sister who he is good friends with. He has a small, consistent group of friends at school. They mainly do everything together. They ride to school together every morning. So those are like his very important friends in his life that guide his decisions. He's very involved at school. He has good grades. He's involved in the theater program. But Simon is keeping one big secret. Simon is gay and he hasn't told anybody. Not his family, not his friends, nobody. He's kept it completely to himself. He says he knew he was gay around the age of 13. He says his revelation to that was Harry Potter and the Daniel Radcliffe poster in his room that he ended up having to tear down. He tried to cover it up by going on dates with girls. There's some throwback scenes of him where he's going on dates, getting in relationships, or like going to dances, and that really never ended well. He battled a lot of internalized homophobia during his adolescence when he knew he was gay but wasn't out. And internalized homophobia I have here is defined as mostly experienced in the beginning of the coming out process when individuals become aware of their sexual orientation. And we see that with Simon, specifically one of the scenes where he's at a school dance with his girlfriend. And he flees to the bathroom and he says, "Mom, come get me, they're drinking alcohol." So he has kind of always known he's gay, kind of tried to suppress it, covered it up, but now he's kind of just laying low, like not entering relationships or things like that. The reason Simon won't come out is a few different reasons. He isn't too worried about his family and their perception. He's not worried that they'll reject him. Like I mentioned earlier, he says he knows his mom won't care, just with her beliefs. He's kind of just not telling them so he doesn't have to tell school or anything like that. His close friends, his main reason for not coming out. With them being seniors in high school, he's afraid that everything's going to change, and he kind of wants to avoid the change right before they leave for high school. He just wants to end his time in his hometown with everything looking the same, so he's afraid of perceptions changing. And then with his peers, he doesn't want to be bullied. Coming out as a teenager has been shown to be associated with negative social outcomes and may substantially impact physical and psychological safety. And unfortunately, Simon has seen examples of this at his school. There is a gay male out who presents more feminine named Ethan, and Ethan is the subject of a lot of bullying and ridicule. And Simon sees that kind of every day, and you can see kind of when Ethan is subjected to these violent acts and these taunting acts, that's like a gut punch for Simon. But he doesn't want to be subjected to those things. So not only does he not want the dynamic of his friend group to change, he also doesn't want to become the subject of the bullying joke. So those are the reasons and the fears he has of coming out that he expresses throughout the film. And the way that it's affecting Simon, which is the plot of the film, is their high school has an anonymous app where people can post things. It's similar to our Yik Yak. And then one day a peer of his posted that he's gay, and he's tired of hiding it, but this individual is also not out. So through that, Simon reaches out to this individual and he's like, hey, he reaches out, the pen pal's name is Blue. Simon uses the name Jacques. He reaches out, he says, "Hey Blue, I'm just like you, no one knows I'm gay." And that general reach out started a friendship between the two. They, over time, as the movie progresses, Simon and him keep their relationship pen pal based. They don't meet in person, but they keep communicating, developing a deeper friendship where Simon admits that he has feelings for him. Simon admits it to himself, and then him and Blue continue to communicate and obviously get to know more of each other, and they kind of express mutual interest. There is a scene where Simon gets on to email Blue during the school day, and one of his theater peers, Logan, comes up, and Simon's afraid that Logan will see things, so he quickly tries to exit out and log out of his school account on his computer. However, that doesn't work out. Logan sits down at the computer and reads the emails, thus exposing Simon's secret to one person and one person only, which is Logan. And unfortunately, Logan takes the opportunity to his advantage here, and he begins to blackmail Simon. Logan has a crush on one of the people in Simon's friend group. This friend is named Abby. And so Logan holds this blackmail over Simon, and he's like, hey, come on, man, like, I want to be tight with Abby, I want to date Abby. So he holds the emails, and he's like, if you don't want me to tell the school, you got to hook me up with Abby. If you don't want the school to know you're gay, I need to be dating Abby. And so he kind of maliciously holds this over Simon's head. And obviously, Simon is going to do what it takes to make Logan happy, because he doesn't want Logan to be the reason he has to come out. So Simon's put in a little bit of a position where he doesn't want to be outed, not on his own terms, but now he's in that position, so he's doing what he has to do, which causes a little bit of tension within the friend group. Some of his actions are abnormal, some of the things he does are abnormal, and it leads to a lot of tension and fighting within the group because of the way Simon's acting. Moving forward, all that tension, all that fighting has led to an isolation period for Simon. The friends are kind of just done with his actions. They don't understand why he's acting the way he's acting. And obviously, not wanting to out himself, he doesn't explain that to them. And how that blackmail situation goes on to end is Logan believes that he's in the position to ask Abby out publicly, and he makes a big scene of it at the homecoming football game. However, because the entire premise of the relationship was through Simon's little shenanigans in the middle of the blackmail, Logan and Abby never truly clicked, so Abby rejects him, which obviously humiliates Logan. And this is hard for Logan, and he takes it that night, but then he goes home and posts all the emails fully exposing Simon. And although they were using pen pals at that time, or pen names at that time, the presentation of the emails on the anonymous app are accompanied by Simon's name. Logan completely outs him. He outs his name. He uses his name. So Simon did not get to come out on his own terms, which was really hard for Simon. All of his close friends obviously reached out and were like, hey man, we're here for you, let's talk. But Simon felt so isolated, and he lost that experience of coming out himself. And so the following few days at school were hard, and he was bullied, and he was made subject of jokes, just like Ethan and with Ethan. And so there came a point in the film when Simon decided to reclaim his reality, and he wanted to meet his pen pal Blue finally. So he asked his pen pal to publicly meet them up where a lot of their peers could see them. And the film goes on that the pen pal Blue does meet Simon at a Ferris wheel, and the whole school kind of sees them meet up, and Simon kind of just embraces who he is, and accepts the terms of the situation that occurred to him. Some psychoeducation regarding the film. Throughout the film, Simon is not seeing a therapist, but he could definitely benefit from seeing a gay affirmative therapist, even if he's not out to his family. Being out to a therapist could be helpful to him, just to kind of talk about it and process those emotions. Gay affirmative therapy depathologizes being gay by actively and explicitly recognizing the harmful effects of heterosexism and affirming the client's sexual identity, relationships. And this could be beneficial for Simon, just to kind of positively see himself and see that even though he's gay, it won't change the dynamics of his surroundings. That's what his fear is that him being gay will change what's going on around him. So seeing a therapist in general, just to talk things out, especially during the trauma of being blackmailed, a therapist could help guide him and kind of ground his emotions during that time. An important thing about finding a gay affirmative therapist, this will benefit him. And gay affirmative therapy, they would take an approach to therapy that embraces a positive view of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer identities and relationships, and addresses the negative influence that homophobia, transphobia, and heterosexism have on the lives of LGBTQ clients. Some ways that therapists can make their practices more affirming is by being an ally in real life, by having an affirming space, including LGBTQ literature in their office and things like that, and just overall being an ally and a listening ear to their client. Some coping strategies that I think could benefit Simon is focusing on self-compassion. He spends a lot of the film having these internal battles with himself, thinking that he will change everything and his identity is the problem. So finding that self-compassion could be really beneficial. Self-compassion can be defined as a multidimensional construct that includes self-kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness, which could reduce feelings of shame, guilt, alienation, and self-criticism. Throughout the film, we see Simon experiencing exactly those feelings of shame, of guilt, of alienation in various different ways, whether it's the beginning of the film where he's just struggling with his identity, moving forward in the film where he is feeling that alienation and that guilt of being blackmailed and he's trying to find a solution. And the self-compassion could just help him combat some of the anxiety from the trauma of being blackmailed, and also any negative feelings that he might still be harboring towards his sexuality. And what self-compassion looks like for Simon, I think what would be best for him is to treat himself the way he'd treat a friend. I think that encompasses a lot of other self-compassion tactics. I think that just means to show himself love first, to respect himself, to validate himself, just, the way you would treat a friend when they're down. I think if he viewed it from that viewpoint, as he values his friends so much right now, he's in a pivotal time of his life with his social relationships, by moving forward and valuing himself the way he would value a friend, would help him immensely. I think another thing that could help him is practicing a mindfulness in a way that suits him, whether that's meditation, prayer, yoga, crystals, sound crystals, anything that he just takes some time to reflect and think and put himself first could be beneficial to kind of calm down the busyness of the high school life and of all the trauma he's just endured. A third thing that he could do to practice self-compassion is let go of the need of outside validation. He knows he's solid in his family. He knows he's solid in his friend group. So for the fear of the perception of the reason that he's not coming out, if he could just drop that and move forward, I think things could feel a lot easier for him in terms of coming out. So letting go of the need of outside validation could be beneficial for him, just thinking about moving forward without others' perception. And I put that twice. And these are my references. Thank you so much. It was a great semester with everybody.